I'm really happy with how this has turned out. It was difficult not to do it as a blocky blob, a square. So we've got this little decontamination room, but we'll get into that in a second. Officer's log 08. Stardate 02-02-2081. It has been a month since I was awoken on the lifeboat, and who knows how long it's been since I had been ejected. I still don't have any answers, but I do now have somewhere to sleep, somewhere to stockpile weapons, tools and ammo, and somewhere to conduct additional research. We also have the start of a robust communications network. However, if I want to scan the stars for additional survivors, or run a remote probe to the nearest planet, I will need to crank the power up. I simply do not have enough power on hand for that, so perhaps I should turn my attention to setting up some reactors to help deal with the transient loads. Hello everyone and welcome back to Into the Void. Today we've got a project on hand. Another project. So last time we built this wonderful command center. This time, what we need to do is we need to build some reactors. So ultimately what we want to do is we want to send a remote probe to that planet there. And in order to do that, we're going to use laser antennas. They're long-range communication devices, but they take a lot of power. And the further away you go, the more power you need. Now, we have a solar panel, which we can't quite see at the moment because it's being blocked by both the miner and it's perpendicular to us. But rest assured, we have a solar array at the end of that little gantry there. And that puts out 10 megawatts, which is not quite enough for what we need. Now, the maths for the laser antennas is a little bit complicated, and it becomes exponential after a certain point. Now, I've done some tests, I've done some maths, I've done some work. I've worked out that the spacing of satellites that I want to put out, we're going to need about 5 megawatts per laser antenna. Which means on the satellites themselves, they need to do 10 megawatts. However, on the receiving ends, they only need to output 5. We have 24 megawatt hours on the batteries. The solar panels currently are... Okay, so we're actually not using that much power. We're only using about half a megawatt. But that's because not a lot is happening. Yep, so nothing in the refineries, nothing in the assemblers. So just idling, we use about half a megawatt to 1 megawatt. However, when everything's running, that's a much different story. Oh, here comes Meteors. The turrets are doing the work. That's good. We don't want anything to hit our base. So that's the idea. So what we need to do is we need to build a reactor room just as a backup power source. And I think, how are we doing for ice? How are we doing for ice? How are we doing for ice? We've still got a fair amount of ice. How are we doing for hydrogen? Still doing pretty okay for hydrogen. Okay, so we don't need to go get some ice. How are we doing for everything else? 4,000 uranium, 10,000 magnesium, 1,000 platinum, 134,000 iron, 51,000 silver, 4,000 gold, plenty of gravel, 15,000 nickel. That's a little bit low. A bunch of cobalt. So, I mean, what I can do to bolster the nickel, silicon, and iron, I can extend the doom hole. Or we can just take a quick trip with the miner to go and get some more nickel. I think I'm going to extend the doom hole. I think that's going to be sensible, because that can passively get us iron, nickel, and silicon. 3 things that we're going to need a fair amount of going forwards. So we're going to cut to me doing that. So I learnt my lesson from last time, and I'm going to lock the drills in place at the bottom. Yeah, that works surprisingly well. Cool, let's get these pistons retracted, and then weld some new ones up. Okay, so in theory, all I have to do is just push the rotor over the rotor head, and that'll be fine. It should all go together. Cool. That actually worked surprisingly well. It worked much better than it did last time. Nice. Let's release the clamp from the bottom, and then hopefully this should just work. Yeah, it is a little bit swingy. Let's just make sure all these get inertia tensor, just so that it sort of locks itself back up. Okay, yes, suit lady, it's fine. We're going to recharge our energy. We're not going to die out here. Okay, so we've reduced the torque, not the torque, so we've reduced the impulse on the axis and the non-axis, and we've also turned down the speed of extension. So, in theory, the doom hole piston should be fine. I should probably set the rotor up as well. So that's all set, that's all set. Let's just go down and see what it all looks like, and then we can operate these buttons. Looks like a good rotation speed to me. Let's go press the button and see how quickly these extend. So I've put them at a very slow extension rate, but what we need to bear in mind is that they are all set to it. That's actually still that's abysmally slow. Okay, I think I can increase that extension rate. Are they even moving? Yes. I think we can up that extension rate by a factor of 2 at least. Oops. I think I know. I need 0.005, not 0.05. Okay. That's fine. Hopefully we didn't break anything. Which it seems like they are. But it's slow enough to not damage anything here. Why are you collecting it and not sending it back through? Did I miss a weld somewhere? No, it's all welded up, so why are you not sending it back? Oh, I built a normal rotor, not an advanced rotor. Ah, oh, damn it, damn it, damn it. Okay. That's why. Let's... This is going to be annoying. Let's recall all the pistons. Turn them off. Turn the rotor off. I'm going to have to disconnect the rotor again. And actually do it properly. Bye-bye, rotor. Let's have an advanced rotor in your place. There we go. So now we just very gently put these into each other. Again. That's close enough. We can attach that. There we go. Problem solved. Well, drill has been emptied. Happy days. Right, let's do this again and set it all back up and do it properly. Okay, so in theory, that should now be sending it down at a decent rate. Cool, and now we'll be slowly collecting the stone until all of these are extended. Good, right, so that's that resource sorted. What is next on the list? Right, so the Doom hole has now been sorted. We're now going to get a steady influx of stone. We need to build a reactor room. Now, I wanted the reactor room to come off of this section here and go off back into the asteroid. And to do that, we're going to have to cut out some of the walls, essentially depressurize this section. So I've preempted it. I have depressurized this section and the floor above, so that we're not going to vent any oxygen, because I have come to realize that we do not have much oxygen. We've only got 2 tanks, of which one of them isn't actually on the base. That is on the lifeboat. So we only have 1 small tank on the base, which is 92% full, which sounds like a lot, but if I depressurize, say for example this room, that's quite a lot of space. So to minimize the risk of losing all of our oxygen, I've taken the steps to depressurize this room and the one above, so there's no accidental leakage. I'm just going to cut my way through here. I'm going to do some drilling, and I'm going to dig out the corridor, and then I'll try and set up some drills to be able to carve out the room. Because while I can do it by... I could do it by hand. We'll see. Drills on pistons is normally the better way to do it, though. Cool. Drill is now drilling out the corridor. I'll set it to drill normally first, and then I'll set it to terrain clearing on the way back. So with the room now excavated, this is what we're going to have to work with. It's going to be at least 5 wide. And just by a crude guesstimate, that's looking about 7 back. So it's a 5x7 internal room. And we've got a bit of height to work with as well, so that's good. I'm going to quickly block up the framework for this room, and then we'll see what we're looking at and what we're working with. So this is the framework for the space that we're working with. Now, I'm tempted to put the reactors in the back here. One on this side, one on that side. Space in between. Maybe have like a mezzanine up here for controls and viewing. And an airlock down the bottom to actually get into the main reactor area. There's ideas. The other options, I put them both on this side and do something similar. But because it's pretty much a square room, so it doesn't matter which orientation I do it in. I think I'll put them at the back. I'm going to block this up and just see how it feels, see how it looks, and then we'll do another update once I've got a bit more structure to this. So just a little progress update. I've added in a little airlock using the round bulkheads because I think it's going to look a lot better, a lot more secure. Shows that this is a more restricted area. We've got our conveyor ports in, that's running underneath the floor. We have our refill station and cargo access. Just for convenience, more than anything else. I've got the reactors in place, just as a rough visual guide. I've gone for putting some pipe work along the back there, and I think I'm going to use the actual pipes. These guys. I think I'm going to place them along... Oh, I can't put them there. Oh, I can't put them where I want to put them. Because that goes into that bounding box. Never mind. I could still run them along the top here, though. So I'm going to use these pipes as well as a bit of decoration in here. And I have decided that I will do some kind of mezzanine, and I'll put the dividing wall along this line here. In fact, let's get these blocks in now just to show. So, reactor, non-reactor, and there'll be a little mezzanine separated by some glass for observation, like an observation room or something like that. Control room, observation room, decontamination. Yeah, there's a lot I can do with this. So I'm going to continue cracking on working on this, and we'll tap back in when I've made a little bit more progress. A bit more progress has been made. We've got this little decontamination room, which acts or serves as an airlock between the reactor room and the rest of the base. So we have the shower, the toilet, somewhere to change your suit, and a little desk for doing experiments and stuff. Next up is probably going to be the mezzanine area, or the observation area. And then I'll think about welding up these reactors. Okay, so I've taken the reactors out just to make things a bit clearer. But this is the design I'm going for with the reactor room. We've got a little bit of green light at the back there to give it a bit of ambience. Got the whitish lights towards the front so you can actually see what's going on. The two reactors will go in here. We've got air vents at the back for pressurization. And it's starting to shape up. What I've done is I've put in this passageway interior wall combination, because with the reactors down... Oh, they still play. Oh, I do have steel plate. There we go. So with the reactors down in the orientation I want them, you've got this little ladder bit here, which otherwise would be inaccessible. So it's got this little passageway so that you can walk around and actually use the little staircase. Right. I suppose I ought to weld up these reactors now, don't I? And I think the easiest method is to cut a hole in this floor panel here. Cut a hole in that bit there. Give myself a conveyor junction. And put a welder there, because the welder will weld both of them. So let's quickly slap that down. Turn that on. And the reactors get welded up. Happy days. Alright, let's turn you off. In fact, let's grind you down. Ooh, what I could... No, I couldn't do that. I was going to say, what I could do is I could embed the welder in the floor with a glass panel over the top. So if these do get damaged, they can be welded back up. But the problem with doing that is the welder doesn't have cargo access on every side. So I'd have to reroute the cargo connection going... Oh, actually, I suppose I could probably embed it in the floor here. Even the one slightly back. Let's put it back here. Because in theory, because the bounding box of this is 3x3, in theory, even if it's back here, it should still work. So we can just put a glass panel over the top of that. Can I just quickly repaint this? So auto repair is in. Reactors are in. All the ambience and lighting is in. The details for the wall, that's all done. I know I said I was going to do the mezzanine next, but actually doing that was quite nice. Mezzanine will be next because that's like the last thing to do. Now, the question is, do I want the observation deck to go all the way across the front here? No, I'll split it into two. We'll do an observation platform and a office area, control room type thing. Let's see how that all works out. Chat, I got bad news. I tried to do a pressurization test, and it turns out these reactors aren't airtight at all. I thought the bottom face was, it's not. So, we have to rethink how we are designing the bits underneath. Which is fine, I can just replace that with a junction, that will then should seal up. It's going to be a pain in the ass to get to now, but such is life. So what I'll do is I'll quickly go under there, re-weld that up, and hopefully now this room pressurizes. So the mezzanine area is now done. We've got an office where all the control can be done from. We've got some buttons here which will be set up to control the reactor. It's a little research office, which is quite nice. I've got some event controllers here which will be used to control the airlock doors for the decontamination room. So if one's open, the other can't open. Because we don't want nuclear radiation getting out into the rest of the base, do we? I've added a little cargo container here, just so that we can store spare uranium in here, just in case things go wrong and we run out. What else have I done? I've changed some of the lighting, so it's less intense. We've got buttons here, which will, again, be used to probably override the doors. Can't remember how much of tour I've done now. It's been a while since I did the last clip. But yeah, all in all, it's starting to take shape quite nicely. I do need to repaint everything, because everything's currently got this concrete effect on it, and I don't really want it on everything. So I'll go through, give everything a lick of paint, and we will check back in after that's all been done. I think this is very... Oh, yeah, no, and I also need to configure the buttons and the event controllers. So, lick of paint, event controllers, buttons, do a bit of renaming, just basically do all the tidying up, finishing up, polishing, that kind of thing. Okay, so a bit of an update. I have gone through, I have done a bit of painting, I have done a little bit of renaming. I've actually gone through the entire base and renamed everything. So everything should be all nicely named up. Which is good. That's going to make doing things in the future a lot easier. I've also added some indicator lights. Now I need to program these in with the event controllers. So that's going to be the next thing. Program the event controllers. Program the buttons. And then I think this will be... I think we could call this done. I'm really happy with how this has turned out. This has turned out way better than I was expecting. Oh, we've also added a gravity generator. I can't remember whether I showed that last time. It's been I mean, I've slept since then. It's been about a day since the last recording. So what we'll do is go through, do all the detailing bits and pieces, and we will see how that all turns out. Now it's time for me to go over what I've done. I've given this room a fresh lick of paint because I don't think the interior blocks deserve to be made out of concrete, so they're now slightly more suitable paint job. They've got a slightly more suitable skin. I have gone through and done a whole bunch of work with renaming blocks around the base, so everything has now got a logical name to show where it is. But the thing you're all waiting to see is how the reactor room has shaped up. So we'll go through this little airlock here, which is all designed and in place to make it look very industrial, very reinforced. And we're greeted with this little lobby. So we have our doors. Now the doors themselves, when one opens, the other one locks. So you can't have both open at the same time. Which is why we've got this little override panel. So say that one was open for some reason and this one was shut, this panel will override it so we can still get through. Although, maybe this one, instead of just unlocking this door, should probably trigger that door to close. So say this one was open, because we can override it. That locks this one open. So say we want... Say, for example, that was open and this one was closed. We can override that one, close that one, this one now unlocks. So happy days. So we've got this little decontamination room, but we'll get into that in a second. These are the event controllers for the doors. You've seen those in the previous clip. This is the little office area. So we've got controls for both reactors. Or the reactors, we've got controls for the reactors individually. Controls for both reactors. And for the repair welder at the back there. We have a monitoring station for our ingots, mainly so we can see how much uranium we have left in total. We have a monitoring station just for power in general to see whether we need the reactors to kick in. We've got a screen to show all the systems, which is showing that one of our doors is damaged. So I need to go find out which one that is. So that's the little office. Then coming through into decontamination, we've got the shower and the toilet so that workers can decontaminate without having to bring radiation through into the main base. We have the armory so people can get changed into their hazmat suit. We've got a little workstation just so that you can do experiments, take readings, that kind of thing from within this room without having to go through the decontamination procedure. We have a door panel. We have a control panel which operates the doors. We can override the doors if we need to. We can turn the reactors off. So if we need to go in and do maintenance, we can turn them off, open both doors. So we've got quick and easy access to the cargo system. And then again, we've got another control for the welder, because if the welder is turned on and we go in there, we want to be able to turn it off. So now we've got the reactor room itself. We have a temporary storage for uranium, which isn't piped up to the cargo network. So if we ever run out of power, we can always manually load the reactors, because we have a little bit of reserve here. We've got a bit of lighting for ambiance. Gives a bit of radiation vibe. Obviously we've got the lighting at the front here for us to be able to see what we're doing. Again, I need to change this button panel. I want this one to close door 1 instead of turning on door 2. So again, if this door was open, which would lock this door, then we can close that door, unlock this door, come in, shut this door, unlock this door, and open that door. But yeah, all in all, I'm quite happy with how this room's turned out. I quite like the interior design for this. It was difficult not to do it as a blocky blob, a square. It started off very square, but I think these little cutouts here make all the difference. We also do have a gravity generator in here, just because sort of walking along these catwalks and that makes it a lot easier when there is gravity. And it just makes sense. The fields don't overlap, so this gravity generator only does this room. And I think the overlapping point is actually right in the middle of these stairs, so it lines up perfectly so that actually the transition, you don't notice it. And that's the reactor room done. I'm quite happy to call this done. The only other thing I might do is maybe add something to these screens. I could probably put the power control app on this and have it only specify reactors. In fact, let's just quickly give that a go. Oh, you can't actually change the LCD on this. Interesting. Yeah, no, you can't actually change the state of the LCD, so never mind, we won't add any apps to this because it's not compatible. Well, I'm quite happy with how this has turned out. I think we can probably wrap it up there. Thank you guys for watching, it's very much appreciated. If you haven't already, please like, comment and subscribe. It very much helps the engagement and the algorithm. And I suppose we'll see you in the next one. I'm just going to quickly hop up to my bed. We'll see you in the next one. Officer's Log 08. Addendum. Stardate 07-02-2081. Another quick update. I now have ample power, I have storage, and I have production. My communications network is up and running, and the reactors have now been commissioned and brought online. This puts me in a very strong position to build the survey craft and the supporting communications satellites, which will be my focus moving forwards. This is Fiery Shadows of the UPML, signing off.